The Southern colonies were Maryland, Virginia, North and South Carolina, and Georgia. When I look at this text feature, all of the Southern colonies are in green. Founding. People, primarily men, originally moved to Virginia to find gold and silver to make a quick profit. But when they did not find gold and silver, the men came to Virginia to start growing cash crops, like tobacco, to make money. When this was successful, more Southern colonies were founded to continue growing cash crops on large plantations. Maryland was originally founded to be a safe place for Catholics to live and eventually became a safe place for all Christians. Climate and geography. The Southern colonies had a warm climate with hot summers and mild winters. The climate was different from New England and the Middle colonies and was much more humid. The geography of the Southern colonies featured fertile soil, hilly coastal plains, forests, long rivers, and swamp areas. The westernmost regions were mountainous. The soil was perfect for farming, and the growing season was longer than any other region. Hot summers, however, caused more disease, such as malaria and yellow fever. Economy. The Southern economy was almost entirely based on farming. Rice, indigo, tobacco, sugarcane, and cotton were cash crops. Crops were grown on large plantations where slaves and indentured servants worked the land. In fact, Charleston, South Carolina, became one of the centers of the American slave trade in the 1700s. Some of the southern plantations were massive and consisted of the main house, slave quarters, a dairy, blacksmith shop, laundry, smokehouse, and barns, which made the plantations mostly self-sufficient. Crops were traded for items that could not be produced on the plantations, including farm tools, shoes, lace, and dishes. Religion, social life, and school. Most people in the southern colonies were Anglican, Church of England, or Baptist. However, most of the original settlers from the Maryland colony were Catholic. Religion did not have the same impact on communities as in the New England colonies or in the Middle colonies because people lived on plantations that were often distant and spread out from one another. There were also very minimal towns and cities located in the South. Most life centered on the plantation. As more and more people moved in, small towns did start to develop, and planters started to depend on towns as a place to trade their crops. Many times during a year, a family would pack their bags and travel to the town. People went to church, held dances, and traded crops for goods. Because life centered on farming, there was little time for education. Due to the fact that the plantations were very apart, there were hardly any formal schools. Children were often tutored at home. Because the distances between farms and plantations made community schools impossible, plantation owners often hired tutors to teach boys math, classical languages, science, geography, history, etiquette, and plantation management. Girls did not go to school, but learned how to sew and take care of the plantation. Government. Like the other colonial regions, the government of the southern colonies was democratic. Voting and election to the legislature were limited to white male property owners. To be considered for a legislative position, you needed to have an annual income and pay taxes. You were also required to be a member of the Christian church.